I had a stress fracture in my fibula. I had a labral repair in my shoulder. I also fractured a rib as well. My name's Shaniqua, and I originally came to sports performance because I've known Dr. Chris for over 10 years, and we used to work at the same location back when I was working in the coaching industry. I injured my ACL playing soccer, and yes, this was my first time injuring my ACL. I had ACL reconstructive surgery. It was a complete or near complete tear of the ACL. They also cleaned up my meniscus. I didn't have a meniscus repair, they just cleaned it up, and they used my patellar tendon as a graft for the surgery. So I didn't know for sure that I had torn my ACL, but I scheduled an appointment the day after I tore my ACL. I tore it on a Sunday, and Monday morning I called Sports Performance to see if they could get me in that day. So I know I'm a very active person, and at Sports Performance they specialize in working with athletes, and I didn't want to go to just a general physical therapy clinic where it's insurance-based or where they're just giving me the basics and not really giving me any of the education or a program tailored to me or my needs. And I really appreciate the detail-orientedness at Sports Performance. Some of the most challenging portions of my ACL recovery, mentally and physically, would be the fact of my living situation, and there's a gazillion stairs, and it made it very difficult for me to go up and down the stairs to where I live because of the brace I had to wear and limitations and carrying things. It was very challenging. I knew it was going to be very challenging because I'd already had broken a foot previously a long time ago, and so I was on crutches, and I knew how debilitating being on crutches was. As far as mentally, I'm a very active person, so it was really hard to have to rely on other people to help because sometimes other people weren't able to help me, and so I know I felt very helpless. Additionally, the timeline for ACL recovery is way longer than I had anticipated, and I felt like the dates that I was given for when I would maybe get better kept getting pushed back, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing to think it was coming sooner or later, but it is a very long process, and it's probably one of the worst things I've had to go through. So I've always been very active throughout my life playing sports, and I've been very into fitness, so I've had overuse injuries such as shin splints or other tendinitis, things like that. I fractured my fifth metatarsal. I had a stress fracture in my fibula. I had a labral repair in my shoulder. I also fractured a rib as well. And so those are some of the injuries I can think of off the top of my head that were a little bit more on the major side of things. So I've been able to get back to running, and one of my hobbies is doing aerial, which is kind of like circus stuff, and I've been able to perform in a couple of aerial shows since then, which has been awesome for me to get back to and look forward to doing. I would highly recommend coming to Sports Performance due to the knowledge and detailed orientedness of the people working here, and they really care. They put in so much effort into the program. If you're skeptical about trying a new place for physical therapy, I have dealt with so many injuries, and I've been to other places for physical therapy, and like I mentioned earlier, the insurance-based physical therapy, sometimes you get 10 or 15 minutes of manual work with the physical therapist, and then they're basically babysitting you, doing exercises. And I also have a master's in exercise science, so no offense to sometimes the techs that are working with me, watching me or babysitting me doing the exercises. I probably know more than them, and they're not really watching my form. So here, a lot of the times it's closer to 45 minutes worth of manual therapy, and then maybe about 10 minutes worth of going over certain exercises for you to do on your own. If you are going through an ACL recovery, I would say be patient, and which is very hard for me because I'm type A go-getter personality and I want to be back to where I was, but be patient, do the assigned exercises, don't skip out on that. be consistent, and just know that the recovery might take a little longer than you had hoped or thought, but don't get discouraged.
Hi, if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification for my weekly tips on improving your lifelong health without aches and pains. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.